Hello, I'm Amanda Klepper. I work for the Durham Chapel Hill Carborough Metropolitan Planning Organization in Durham, North Carolina. I'm going to talk about how our department is using online mapping tools, specifically ArcGIS Online, to collaborate on data editing and map editing with our partner organizations and agencies. So an MPO has to serve as a coordinator between a whole lot of different groups. We receive and consolidate data from the cities and towns within our jurisdiction, Council of Governments, the state DOT, federal DOT, neighboring MPOs, consultants, all these groups are giving us data, and we eventually have to also serve that data up to the public. Even within the MPO, we have planners and engineers and modelers and administrators, and they have all their own data needs as well. And so the ability for us to be able to cooperate and share data is really essential. In the past, we've had not the best system. We've kind of had stored our data on a local shared drive in folders and had to send data back and forth through email, creating lots of copies and confusion. So we've really needed to develop a better system for this. So a few years ago, our department came up with the idea for what they called the Transportation Environment Land Use Data Enterprise, TELUDE, which was meant to be a set of spatial processing tools designed specifically for our transportation planning functions that would be built upon a central geodatabase that would house all MPO data, be accessible by officials at our partner organizations, and also have a public face where the public could view our data without having to have access to editable files. The idea behind TELUDE has several components. Mashup scripts, which would be if we receive, say, street center line data from Durham County and some from Orange County and some from Chatham County. So we have these 3 different data sets that all have different fields. If we'd run them through a mashup script, then it would put out one unified data set of street center lines that would cover the whole MPO. We also wanted a set of user tools, all the regular user tools that you want to have with an interactive map interface, so address search, the ability to set bookmarks, clip and ship where you can draw out a polygon of data and export it, download it to your own computer, querying, and all of that. And also then we were wanting to develop some specific transportation planning tools. A smart map for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which could generate data for ranking projects for inclusion into our MTP. A congestion management analysis app, so one location where we could use all of our traffic data to analyze congestion on our highways. And what we called the employment geocoder, which I'm going to be talking about in depth later on. We kind of partially developed our TELUDE system. We had a web developer on staff. He went away. So we didn't really get many of those things done that we wanted to. But so that kind of sat on a back burner for a few years. But then just last year, we discovered ArcGIS Online, which is a service that really already offers a lot of the functions that we wanted for the TELUDE project. It has already built in the ability to share data with other organizations, to collaborate, and it gives us that public face to publish maps interactively on our website. It has the potential for creating apps with built-in analysis tools without having to do any programming that we can integrate with our existing TELUDE analysis tools. And it's compatible with ArcSDE and ArcGIS Server, which will facilitate our consolidation of data onto a centralized geodatabase. So our test case for our new system using ArcGIS Online is what we call Employment Analyst. This was an update of our old Employment Geocoder tool. The background of what we use this for is for our transportation model, which is called the Triangle Regional Model. It takes socioeconomic data as input, including employment data. What we need for the model is total employment by TAZ divided up into office, service, retail, the different sectors, so that the model can assign trip generation to each of those establishments. We purchased an employment data set, but we really need our planners to go through that employment data and add their local knowledge to increase the accuracy of that data. Sometimes the address is just a PO box, so we don't know where it is. The number of employees may not be correct, and we need to verify that we have the correct category so we can correctly assign trip generation. And it's worth doing because having an accurate point data set has so much more analytical value than having just aggregate TAZ totals. This is our old system, the employment geocoder. It was this form-based database system developed using open source. Nobody who's even still in our department knows how this worked. It had a spatial component, which was just this little box that showed one point at a time. So it was kind of slow. This is the new interface built on ArcGIS Online. It's a spatial, map-based, which really makes moving those points around and dealing with the spatial aspect a lot easier without really taking away from the database aspect of it. It allows all of us to access a single common file, so we're all editing one file in one place instead of making multiple copies that we're all editing and then trying to put back together through ArcGIS Server. It allows us to track the edits so we can see who's doing what. We can moderate changes and make sure nobody's doing anything crazy. And each user has their own account to log into this, so they can save a copy of the map. They're still working with the single file in one place, but they can have their own copy of the map and personalize it, save their own bookmarks, change the symbology to make it look however they want. It offers those familiar user tools, the address search, being able to turn layers on and off, querying. So this is what the query interface looks like. It allows for really complex queries. You can add as many expressions as you want to. Bookmarking, address search. This is the database portion of it. If you click on features, it gives you these pop-ups, which will then give you a form. If you have domains in your database, it gives you drop-down menus, which is nice. Moving points is just clicking and dragging, and it has all of Esri's base maps on there. So you can put up the imagery or OpenStreetMap, which has some of the labels, and you can just move the point right to the roof of the building, which is, again, improving the accuracy of our data. And adding and deleting features as well. So it's a ready-made package that provides all the tools that we need to get this task done. With the editing capabilities, a user-friendly interface, and the spatial display, which is way easier to use than the old previous form-based application, and allowing access for users in the participating partner organizations. There are a number of drawbacks with this method of doing things. ArcGIS Online is a new technology, and it still has quite a few bugs, just things like sometimes the pop-ups stop working and the base maps don't always load. It's a little bit difficult working with large data sets on there as well, with the number of features that we have in the employment data set. Sometimes if we're zoomed too far out, we get an error pop-up saying can't draw all the features. And there's a specific tool called filter edits that just doesn't work if you have more than 30,000 features. There's a limited number of users based on just their subscription model. So we have 50 users with the level that we've paid for, which for our organization normally would be fine, but for a big project like Employment Analyst, where we want to get all the planners involved, we've used up all of our users. And the nice thing is if those departments have their own ArcGIS Online subscriptions, they can use their account with their own organization and just link it to ours. But since it is so new, we're the only ones who have it, so they don't have their own accounts yet. It does not have as many capabilities as ArcGIS Desktop, which is both good and bad. It's good because we're teaching this to planners who don't always have GIS skills, so we can just teach them in a few minutes how to use this thing, and they don't have to already know how to use ArcGIS. But it's not so good for the planners who are GIS users because they want to be able to create selection sets and use Field Calculator and those more complex tools, and it just doesn't have that complexity. And then there's the firewall issue, which for government organization, it's not an issue specifically with ArcGIS, but just for collaboration in general. Our MPO is housed within the city of Durham, and we are having a very difficult time getting our city IT department to allow us to have a web server that's outside the firewall so that our other organizations can log on and access that data. We're starting to use this for a lot more collaboration applications. This is another one that we've started, our data collection and management system. Our congestion management plan and our model require real traffic data, travel time, ADT, TMC, et cetera. And we collect that data, and using collaborative map editing is needed before, during, and after the process of data collection. So what we're doing currently is, before data collection has happened, we choose data collection locations, but we want to get feedback on those locations from our partners. So we have found that collaborative map editing is a great way to do that. We created an online map that's got all of our draft data collection locations on it. And just, each of those features has information about it, when it's been collected in the past, what the volume is there, that kind of thing, and have made that editable. We control access to the map using the groups feature of ArcGIS Online, so the people who are part of this process become part of the group, and they get to access the data, and other people who aren't working on this can't access the data. We've put in there a draft priority, which can be edited, so they can go in and say, we want this to be a higher or lower priority, or not collected at all. They can move the point around, add a new point if there's a new location they want, or add in other places that have collected data, like other agencies that are collecting there. So if we see UNC, we know that UNC is going to be collecting data there, and we don't have to do it. During data collection, we'll be using this as well, because collectors can enter their counts into a single online map that they can all edit. And it's accessible remotely via tablet and phone, so they can take those out into the field and collect data on their tablets into this one map that everybody's editing. And the data will just be ready to use right away for our spatial congestion analysis. We'll be continuing to use this after data collection and analysis to make these maps available to the public. We can embed the maps into the congestion management plan on our website, which will give citizens, instead of a static PDF map of an area, they'll be able to actually zoom around, search for addresses, and view traffic data for their areas that they're interested in. We also have maps of historic counts of all the years, I think going back to 2000, of traffic volumes on our website already. And we have a whole lot of ideas of more ways we want to use this in the future. We're about to do our community visualization scenario planning process, for which we need up-to-date, accurate parcel data with land use information. So we're going to be doing something similar to the employment analyst, where we load our parcels up there and have people go through and verify that the land use is correct. And that's going to really test our capabilities of hosting large data sets. And parcel-based employment forecasting, once we have these parcels, we can look at the building capacity of the parcels, and along with an estimate of employees per square foot, to find a potential for employment for each parcel. And finally, we're thinking about putting our model network up here as well, so that everybody who edits any part of our transportation model can go in and edit it through one file online. So that's it. This is us. This is our website. And none of these maps are actually on our website currently, because it's being overhauled, but eventually they will be up there. And our arcgis.com site. That's me, and Felix is our manager, and he's kind of the mastermind behind TELUDE. So if you want any more information on this, that's who to contact. Any questions?
We have time for questions.
Yeah.
I too am using ArcGIS Online, and I'm with an MPO in Reno, Nevada. I was curious, I've always thought that 1,000 was the limit for items that you could put into one layer in a map on ArcGIS Online.
I believe that limit is for what it can draw at one time. So our employment data set is about 85,000 points, and we put it up there, and it can't draw everything, but it can handle that data set. If we try to put in 85,000 as the limit, because you can change the limit, then it tries to draw everything and it crashes the browser.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Amanda.
All right.